I can't quite contain or explain my evil ways.
Almost impenetrable scales, which wasn't actually a problem since wyverns don't have as much scales as the normal dragons, but their scales aren't as hard as dragons. Basically, their defense is low, although Dipper discovered their attack basis is very high. And their speed too, because even being lighter than the wyvern, it was hard to reach it. Azaf rolled his eyes at Dipper's question. I'm talking about the wings that appeared on your back out of nowhere, he argued. I heard from Mentor Knessi that you can learn how to grow wings when you're a higher level, more or less when you've completed 200 lessons, which clearly hasn't happened to you. Azaf explained. This time, it was Dipper who rolled his eyes out of boredom. Well, that is what he told me, because it takes too much energy to create wings, and they are hard to remove as well. Dipper looked at his own back. His wings had disappeared when the preteen had reached the floor, and that made Dipper wonder how it worked. Maybe if he focused, the wings would appear on his back again. Things actually weren't as simple as they looked, at least to Dipper. Thank you a lot, Mr. Wikipedia, but I really don't know what I did. It just happened. Don't you believe in miracles? He asked sarcastically. Well, that was a surprise since Dipper used to be the Mr. Wikipedia. It's funny how tables turn, he thought. Actually, Dipper enjoyed being the Mr. Wikipedia because he felt useful this way, but giving the role to someone else sounded better this way, especially because now Dipper saw how annoying it sounded to correct people. Azaf either didn't understand the sarcasm or pretended he didn't. I'm a demon, so yes and no, he answered directly. Shut up, Dipper ordered, though it sounded like more of a joke than a direct order. Then everything went silent. However, Dipper felt something was wrong. Just when everything was calming down for a little bit, the ground below them started to tremble as if an earthquake was about to happen. The wyvern slowly stood up as if nothing happened to it at all first. Its neck was bleeding, nothing too drastic. In front of Dipper's eyes, the scar healed itself quickly, something he would thought only happened in movies. Dipper's eyes widened as he backed away a few steps, being followed by Azaf and Daniel. The creature's blood-red eyes scanned the area, then stopped on Dipper and Dipper only. Its objective was clear now. Dipper was its target, and no one else. What could be worse than being a dragon's only target? The boy froze, his muscles stiffened, and Dipper only had to stifle a cry of terror upon noticing the dragon's slits becoming even thinner, as if deciding how it would kill and eat him. Quickly, but swiftly, the wyvern jumped as high as it could, and then aimed at him. The wyvern then opened its large wings and flew directly to where Dipper was standing. The brown-furred wolf immediately teleported to a tree at his left and pressed. Impressed with his level of concentration at this point, and how he did so quickly. Maybe the adrenaline did help him after all. The wyvern tried to search for him, but it was no use. Instead, it hit a few trees to the right, and then flew to the sky. A high-pitched feminine scream followed after his, and then was echoed through the clearing and in Dipper's mind, causing his head to throb for a few seconds after it. Dipper's eyes widened even more upon recognizing the scream from who it was. He teleported himself to the floor, carefully shouted at the top of his lungs, Dana! What is up, everybody? Enderheart here with another Gravity Falls fanfiction reading. Today we will be reading more of Cipher Secret, one of the ones I've been working on. We are on chapter 8. Just finished up chapter 7. I accidentally clicked something ahead and I read a teeny bit of chapter 10 because I thought we were on chapter 10 because I lost track. We're actually on chapter 10 of Demented, so I accidentally did that. So Anyway, the reason I did not do a recording tomorrow is because there was fighting and my voice was really sore from doing the hour-long special. So, and the update video and stuff. So, alright. Back to the fanfiction. I got something in my eye. Can't read without one eye. I'll try. I'll be Bill. Dana? Dipper barely had time to think twice before it happened. His wings had somehow appeared again. This time he had full control of them. With a simple but strong flap of wings, he prepared to follow the Wyvern and the girl/fox holding onto him. Dipper didn't know why he cared so much about Dana. She was just a girl. There are millions of them around. Oh no. There were millions of them around the world, but Dana wasn't just a girl. She was his partner. Oh, okay. And you don't leave partners behind, no matter how annoying or stupid they are. Not that he's calling Dana annoying or something. Of course not. With the strength of the wind hitting his head, his hat fell from his head near Azaf. Another high-pitched scream followed. This time it was because the dragon-shaped creature had changed its course, and now we're heading where Azaf and Daniel were, and Dana either trying to warn them or was scared to hell. Both of them were too shocked to move, however, if they could still talk, and their conversation wasn't going to be one of the happiest, though it could have been their last, of course. It's alive! Azaf explained. He was too impressed to acknowledge the situation they were both in. His legs and paws weren't moving, as they trembled in fear and shocked. No, that's all. He felt like an old chair about to be sent to the dump. His fox-shaped partner wasn't that better, but still had great sarcasm. Sorry, I got something in my lip. Still had great sarcasm and passive, active voice of always. No shit, Sherlock, Daniel said sarcastically, just as the Wyvern was too close to them and the fox snapped and pushed Azaf out of the way. They landed in a bush, which is ironately soft enough for them to land in safely. I'm sure you could have walked by yourself. Well, Daniel saves the day, again, Azaf rolled his eyes at his friend. Daniel sometimes changed his attitude so much that it was hard to know his definite personality. Maybe he was the normal guy. That is a very important remark. However, Dipper is in danger. We should help him. Daniel nodded at Azaf's explanation. What do you suggest we do? He asked. Remember the original plan? Let's keep doing it. At least Dipper will buy some time. At least we'll buy Dipper some time, Azaf explained. However, Daniel still had one doubt. What if we hit Dana or Dipper? Everything went silent. We must stop asking ourselves, what if, and go to battle, he said, grabbing Dipper's pine tree hat from the floor and teleporting it to the bush where he had once landed during the Wyvern's attack. Azaf teleported himself to the tree where Dipper once was, a tall pine tree to his left. Well, he had to continue Dipper's plan, because that was not only a good plan, but it was the least they could do, and Azaf was too worried to focus on the plan, even if he was supposed to be the intelligent guy. Are you coming? Daniel stopped for a moment. However, he smiled at his comrade and nodded. That would be exciting. He looked around, and finally finding one spot he'd fit in, the fox jumped on a tree, which was on his right, the tree opposite of the direction of Azaf's. Soon the two of them were facing each other, ready to complete their mission. Ready? The young tiger-like apprentice asked. I was born ready, Daniel answered, as if it was possible he'd give Azaf a smirk. They nodded to each other and turned around, both starting to run around the trees, no longer trying to use them as camouflage. Dipper and Dana were in jeopardy. They didn't have time to hide anymore. Their final mission was to defeat the Wyvern, no matter what, at all costs. And they do this. Daniel opened his eyes to focused with all of his strength. A red sphere surrounded by energy formed, but it wasn't big enough. Daniel focused a little more and managed to make it bigger. Dipper and his sister would need all their strength to make it out alive from there. Daniel aimed. He couldn't risk hitting the two of them. Daniel was lucky he didn't have to wear glasses, and that, after so many times of practicing archery, his aim was almost perfect. Then he let go, letting his attack cross the sky. My heart just skipped. Just then, he saw another spear crossing the sky next to his. It was one completely white, with a few flames surrounding it. Let's shoot them together instead of one at a time. The spears would become more powerful if combined. That rhymed. A voice rang through his head. Daniel knew who it was from and tried to reply. Running while focusing wasn't a good combination, but somehow the other apprentice managed to copy just fine. Right, he nodded. You're free to do your own thing if you want, Azaf answered. Daniel smirked at that. He knew exactly what his comrade was talking about. Quickly but swiftly, the fox-shaped child... Oh, lost my place. Quickly but swiftly, the fox-shaped child jumped from one branch to another, disappearing almost completely from human sight, and then let his entire body glow in a glamorous yellow light that was almost impossible not to notice. Daniel was still running, but slower, until he stopped completely. Azaf frowned at first, then understood what Daniel wanted to do with that. Watch out! The Wyvern had just shot a flame burst at a random direction. It was apparently heading Daniel's direction, and he was still focused on what he wanted to do. It was obvious that the green light was attracting attention, maybe a little too much, but it would be worth it, wouldn't it? Suddenly, the foxboy opened his eyes in a heartbeat. Both were as white as snow. Ooh, we got some, God crap. I forget what movie it's from. Anyway. The glow once surrounded his small body and started to glow even more. Daniel was shining more than the sun itself, or at least that's what it looked like. When the burning beam was almost reaching him, his eyes started to glow yellow, with his body focusing on that energy point. And then they shot a powerful beam that literally pulverized the small flaming orb that was aiming directly at the Wyvern. Dipper had already gotten Dana out of there, and Daniel was glad because he wouldn't risk hitting his sister at least. Or maybe not. Daniel closed his eyes, where all they could hear were painful, disturbing, and agonizing screams of the beast before it disappeared completely within a mist of dust. ... It's a paragraph changer. Dipper was forcing his wings to their limit, almost to the point of hurting. He hadn't had them for too long. Without any practice, they were like useless branches. But he had to save his comrade, demon or not, human or not. At this point, Dipper didn't know what he was talking about, Dana or himself. Dana, on the other hand, had her eyes closed and was still screaming like a maniac, for no obvious reasons, except that she was being kidnapped by a giant lizard. That was a good reason. It simply looked like she wanted to catch someone's attention with all this loud... Oh. Computer went to sleep. With all this loud screaming, though she had other reasons to do so. Dipper closed his eyes and focused. Dana, stop screaming. I'm coming, he said, hoping that Dana heard the message, because even if he screamed at the top of his lungs, she wouldn't listen to him, and that was his best chance to calm her down. Fine, just help me, the voice rang through his head. Dipper wasn't surprised that Dana knew how to communicate by telepathy. It seemed like something common between demons, or between half-demons, at least. Dipper forced his wings a little more and managed to reach the Wyvern right where Dana was. His back was already hurting and burning because of the pressure he was putting the wings into. Also, the Wyvern's wings were bigger than his, which made it almost impossible to reach it. Almost. Before he could say something, he noticed something attached to the Wyvern's neck. It was a chip. Dipper analyzed it carefully, for one moment forgetting about everything that was happening around him. It was gray, but a dark gray. It could have easily misunderstood It could have been easily misunderstood for one of the Wyvern's scales, but Dipper wasn't easily fooled. However, in a few seconds, he remembered the only purpose: save Dana. "Jump quickly!" he shouted, making the fox open her eyes. He didn't know why he had shouted, as he could telepathically tell her to do that, but the heat of the moment was making the boy nervous inside. "Are you crazy? What if you don't catch me?" Dana shouted nervously. Apparently, she also chose to shout instead of telepathically talking to him. You'll have to you'll have to trust me," Dipper said sincerely. Dana sighed, closing her eyes once more. Then she loosened her grip on the Wyvern's neck until she let go completely. Dipper didn't think it would be so easy to convince her. He thought it'd need a few more shouts or something like that. Everything happened quicker than they both had imagined. He dove down into the clearing, trying to reach Dana. He had his wings closed, letting gravity do its job, though he was ready to open them at any minute. He grabbed Dana's tail with his muzzle, digging his sharp teeth into her flesh accidentally, though this was needed so she wouldn't slip out of his grasp. Dipper didn't bother being gentle and didn't mind if it was hurting either. His top priority was to save her now. He opened his wings once again and flew through... went to sleep again. And flew through the... I don't know, I lost my place. And flew at the nick of time where they were almost touching the ground. Dana's nose almost touched one of the flowers. She was lucky that they finally flew out of there. Throwing Dana into the air quickly so that she was now on his back, the wolf demon boy flew to the ground just in time to hear a disturbing and agonizing cry and turned around. Had Daniel and Azaf hit the Wyvern or something while they were gone? Oh yeah, he had almost forgotten about those two. Which was weird since he had been gone for like 5 minutes. How did they beat the dragon so quickly? The Wyvern was gone. The clearing became surrounded by a mysterious purple dust that had a weird lavender smell, almost the smell of the addendus flower, but sweeter and less, poisonous. But something fell on his head, then on the floor. Dipper looked at it more carefully. There, near his paws, was the chip that was once attached to the Wyvern's neck. Dipper narrowed his eyes and read what was written on it, because the purple dust was making it hard to see anything. Even Dana and the pine trees seemed like mysterious shadows with this. It read, A. Cipher. Pill, Dipper growled.